This episode is brought to you by the outstanding shows of the You Run Podcast Network. From TV to true crime and everything in between, the network is your home of entertainment. So don't delay. Join in with the fun at yourunpodcast.com today.
Mark, some people tell racist jokes, and those people are racist. Anyway, what do you call a black man flying a plane?
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not getting involved in that. I don't want to be anywhere near it, and I don't want the ramifications that come with it. This is all on you.
Come on, what do you call a black man flying a plane?
A pilot?
That's correct, and you didn't fall for it. God damn it!
You want to die tonight?
The dad jokes you tell sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. The passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's overblown roundups. You run podcasts for a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled.
Hello, and welcome to the You Run Podcast Horror Movie Review. My name is Scott.
And my name is Mario.
It's a Mario. Your moustache. Anyone who's not watching cannot appreciate the majesty that is your Victorian gentleman's moustache. It's very impressive.
I've been very dedicated to it. I said I would do it, and I fully committed. We are there. We have reached Twizzler point for all those who are watching. It's glorious. It's very blonde, so it doesn't appear very well on camera. But just know it's fucking magnificent outside of the natural light.
Mark looks like a villain from a 1920 silent movie.
It's getting to that point now, though, where I'm either like, do I commit to it or do I just shave it off and accept that was a good phase in my life? Because it kind of defines you as a person, does a mustache. And I need to know whether I'm going to be that person or I'm willing to let it be a phase. You know what I mean?
It depends. Are you going to commit to it and start tying damsels to railroad tracks? Because if not, it's got to go. It is looking good, though. We are a horror movie review podcast. You control the show here, hence why we are the You Run Podcast. You can do that by going and following us on Instagram or X or any of the other many social media platforms at You Run Podcast everywhere. While you're there, especially on Instagram, give Mark a follow. He's at Reviews from the Crypt and at VHS from the Crypt. Really cool accounts. And I'm not just saying that because he's my co-host. And when I see him in person, I'm afraid that he'll go, "You never promote me. You're such a bitch."
Well, there's a reason why I'm here. We didn't start this together. You know what I mean? You hired me later on in the day. So check the origin story of Reviews from the Crypt.
The origin story of Mark's arrival on the show, where I pursued him like some kind of weird sexual predator and then lured him onto the show, and now he's mine forever.
Exactly that.
Yeah. You can get in touch with us. You can send us an email. However, most people who listen to this show...
Email? What's that?
Because we very rarely get emails. You can also send us a voicemail. You can do that on Instagram and on X. We have a couple this week, and we're going to save them till much later in the show after our review. So that's something for you to look forward to, along with facts, along with a brand new game, and loads of other fun stuff as well. We are running a competition for you to win some merchandise. All you need to do is leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify, screenshot that review and send it to us on social media so we know you've done it. If you've done that already, go to Spotify and leave a comment on the latest episode. Can be anything you want. And all of those enter you into the draw. On our first episode in January, we're going to do one of those cool spinny wheel things. Pick a winner and then send you whatever 3 pieces of merchandise you want from our site. You can pick anything you want, and we're continuously adding stuff to it as well. If you've never listened to the show before, we give you a synopsis of the movie. we tell you what we liked, what we didn't like. It's very spoiler heavy, so we kind of tell you everything. We're going to do some messages today. We've got the return of 3-word reviews for this revisited episode. We'll do some facts, and we've got a game as well. Now, on the 6th of November, we lost Tony Todd, passed away at the age of 69. And if you don't follow us on social media, you would have come here expecting us to be talking about Hollywood, chainsaws, and hookers.
Which I'm a little bit disappointed we're not, I'll be honest with you. But...
Yeah, but it's... yeah, we have postponed that episode. It's not gone. It's going to come back. We're going to move that into February, and it'll all make sense next year because we're having themed months throughout the whole of 2025, but more about that later. Today, we are looking at a movie about a sexual predator who abuses the power of a teacher and ruins the lives of 2 young girls. We're also looking at an overprivileged white lady who thinks she can go and be an urban tourist and also tries to get a small child killed by a gang member just so she can learn about the local urban legends. On top of that, we're looking at one of the most iconic performances in Tony Todd's career, taking the role of the supernatural killer of Cabrini Green, Candyman. Yeah. Before we get into this, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. This movie tackles lots of things around racial diversity, specifically on the Black community within the Cabrini Green. This movie is great at showcasing a diverse cast. However, it does have some pretty horrific racial stereotyping in this movie. Me and Mark are white, privileged, middle-aged men who don't really have a decent enough knowledge or position to talk on this. But we will address things as best we can when we come to them. Also, this movie was written and directed by 2 middle-aged, privileged white guys who also are not in a position to talk about race either. So,
no, I think it's a good point to address, like the fact that you bring it up and say, we're not qualified, which is great. Like, I don't want people to go through this review and think, well, you didn't touch upon this, or you didn't touch upon the undertones that were actually meant or implied throughout this movie. It's not because we're not ignoring them. We're not trying to reject them. We know they're there and we appreciate why they're there and we understand them on a basic level as 2 white men. We're just not qualified enough to give you a breakdown and have a full contrasting opinion on both sides of the story to be able to tell you our opinions on it that would be justified enough for you to be like, yeah, you're right, because we probably not, because we don't understand it. So that's not our place to break it down in that sense. So we're not going to do that here. We're going to just basically give you the true intent that we took it on, which is a 1992 slasher movie featuring a man with a hook, and we're going to enjoy it on that level. And if you like to seek out further knowledge regarding the racial implications of this movie, there is plenty of podcasts out there that do that.
Yeah,
they're all great. I've listened to my fair share of them. But that's not our jam here. That's not what we do. We're here lighthearted, have a good jam.
Yeah, and like I will mention some of them as I get to them. Some that like are so glaringly obvious stereotypes that I kind of went, "Oh, really? Like that's bad. You shouldn't have done that." There's a few of those, but many
which is on a basic level. But we're not going to break it down to the point that we're like scholars on the relationships of Black and white people regarding social conflicts, because I don't want to dive down that river.
No, and we are not scholars on horror movies, full stop, let alone the deeper meanings of them. Jesus Christ.
That's the thing. Like, I feel like every time you tackle the Candyman, people expect that level of dissection, which you're right, it deserves it. It really does, because those breakdowns are there for those who seek it. But this isn't the show you need to be listening to if that's the kind of explanation you need, because we're not qualified to give it to you. Yeah,
I've got a perfect soundbite that kind of exemplifies what this show is, and I think this is perfect.
If it's Donald Trump, I don't want to be involved in any way, shape, or form. It does nothing to do with me.
No, this show is this.
Thank you, sir. May I have another? Thank you, sir. May I have another?
That's what this show is. So if that doesn't sound like your cup of tea, thank you very much for tuning in. And yeah, we'll probably never see you again. But if it does sound like the sort of thing you're into, and I know our listeners were well into that sound bite. We are here to discuss Candyman. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with super privileged student who's been preyed upon by her teacher, who then married her, and then he upgraded to a younger model and blatantly flaunts her in front of her? Like, do you want to start there? Because I was like, oh man, like that's bad.
I do at the same time, but at the same time, I know I'm going to drink a few beers tonight. So no, I want to start with the actual shining graces of this movie. And I want to talk about what, to me, upon watching this movie as a rewatch, really cemented what has become such a glowing reoccurrence for me over the recent years is the direction of cinematography and the general tone overall of what this movie presents. Because to me, we've done this 3 years now, and every time I get like a drone shot, I'm like, oh, I'm oozing for a drone shot. I love a drone shot. You know, I love the aerial sort of progression.
If
Watching this movie back in recent times, I'm like,
if there's any directors out there who want to fully satisfy me and Mark, we need a drone shot of a person on fire, and that's it. The movie gets 5 stars just for that scene alone.
That would literally be it. But yeah, man, I mean, the cinematography and direction in this movie is spellbinding. Not only on the level where I'm half joking regarding my obsession with aerial drone shot scenery shots, because this does it flawlessly. The opening credit sequence alone is just, it's a beautiful, man. It's beautiful. You've got that haunting Candyman score, which I will dive into much later on.
I love the score.
One of the best scores in slasher history. I think I'll save it. But like the opening aerial sequence is just beautiful, where it's going across the skyline. So fucking great. And throughout, it does it regularly. And I'm like, they didn't have drones. This weren't drones. This was all done via wires or helicopters. You know, this was like old school drone work. And I'm like, oh,
for this movie as well. It was new technology on this rig, and this is the only film you'll see from that time period that has this perfectly steady high rise shot, and it is gorgeous the way it pans. It's
beautiful.
Like you could achieve this now with a £50 drone in your back garden
easily.
Yeah. But in 1992, that's like, how did you do that? I remember watching this not long after it come out and just being like, even as a young kid, looking at that and going, that's cool. I wonder how, instantly going, I wonder how they done that. And when a movie does that for me, I'm instantly sold. Like straight away, that lured me in.
And the thing is, like, I talk about it all the time on the show. I'm like, yeah, drones, man. They got drones out. I love it. It's great. And I didn't know where my obsession with that sort of visual came from. And then I watched this movie again. I was like, that's why. That is why I love that within my life. That is why when I see a horror movie that does that kind of transition and they take the drone up and they film the sequence. And what was the one where they do it where, oh, we reviewed it recently on the show, where they do it and then they flip it upside down?
Smile.
Was it Smile? I don't feel like it was Smile.
It was Smile. Smile's where they flip the camera and they do the drone shot through the window and it turns as it goes through the window.
No. It was something even more basic than that. It was like, I feel like I want to say The Descent, but it weren't The Descent, and it was like foreshadowing what happened within the movie. And then they're filming like the woods. It's like a woods shot, and they're filming over the woods. And they're following a car, and then it turns upside down, and then follows a car, and the whole screen flips. Oh man,
yeah.
Somebody will know what the episode is. Comment it if you know what the episode is, because it'll bug me now.
Regular listeners comment on Spotify, because me and Mark can't remember what we said last week. Or the week before.
No, man. This was like a few months back. It was a few months back. But I think like seeing this again in hindsight and looking at those visuals that this movie represents, I was like, this is where it all started. Because I know this was like an early on horror movie for me growing up.
Yeah, it was for me.
And looking at that, I was like, wow, that's just magnificent. And then you get the scenes with Helen. And it all seems to coincide with just before they're all about to die by Candyman's hand. But you get that whole Morticia, Addams Family light across her eyes.
Yeah,
and it's filmed so beautifully. I don't know what that technique is called in cinema.
No, it's very Phantom of the Opera. In fact, this whole
Yeah.
movie is very Phantom of the Opera, where he's trying to seduce her into his way of thinking and almost trying to convince her that he's not necessarily being bad, and if she's like him, it doesn't mean she's bad. Like, I love that whole seduction element of this movie because he is a slasher, but he's not a slasher all the time. I want to question the law a little bit.
In terms of what?
So you say Candyman 5 times and Candyman pops up and kills you. We see it in the opening scene where the girl's saying Candyman, then she gets killed. And then later when Helen does it, she says Candyman 5 times and he does not show up. Like,
but
is there a time period?
In the film's credits, the first kill isn't.
No, it's a retelling.
Not what we're visualizing. It's a flashback. It's a retelling of the myth. So I think we can exclude the first kill from canon.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like there seems to be inconsistencies with when he's called and when he arrives, and it bugged me a little bit.
I don't think there is, and that's one thing I will argue. I think it's a very, very solid narrative in that terms. I mean, I think if you take what's presented to us in the first opening sequence with Ted Raimi and his girlfriend, that is a urban myth, and they're representing it as an urban myth. That's the tale.
So that's the little kids telling the story.
Yeah, that's a showcase of this is the urban myth, and this is how it plays out. You say his name 5 times, and he kills you there and then. Boom, kill. And then we move on to reality, and then once we get into reality, which is Helen's story, I don't think there is much to really criticize in terms of the lore of the story and the lore of Candyman in terms of when he appears and when he doesn't. What from that segment on had you thinking, well, that doesn't make sense? Just out of curiosity, because I love this movie and
I do as well. I'm not digging at it at all. I adore this movie. Spoilers, this is going to get really high scores from both me and Mark. I think it's the fact that he waits with Helen. He doesn't show up. He doesn't appear. He doesn't do anything. And it's not just Helen who says it. It's Helen and her friend. Now,
but Helen's the only one throughout this entire movie who does call upon him.
Yeah, and like this is it's all tied into the old Bloody Mary urban legend. So it's tied from that original urban legend. You say her name 3 times, she pops up and kills you. And I like that. I like that element of it. I think there's a couple of changes in this, and this could easily be a mental health story about Helen losing her mind and killing a load of people.
No.
It doesn't need a lot of tweaks.
No, we've done this on episodes in the past. No, I've done this with you before. I've done this tango. I'm not doing it again with you tonight. You're full of shit. That is not what we're doing.
I'm not saying it is, but
this movie.
It could be tweaked.
You're trajecting away from the conversation, and you're telling me that the story doesn't make sense. And I want to know at what point from you does this story not make sense in terms of the calling of Candyman? Because you went there and then you went onto a different little path, and you just to pull the audience away enough to think, oh yeah, we forgot what Scott was saying a moment ago. But no, I'm going to pull you back on it, and I want to know what it is about this movie that doesn't make sense to you. If you take away,
if I take away if I take away the opening segment, it all makes sense. But I'm taking that opening segment that it is canon. Right. But hey,
so can we just say I'm the most qualified person on this podcast, and then we'll move on for it? Just say it, and then we'll all just go on about our day. There is no way you had that lined up ready for that comment.
I do now want to talk about Trevor.
I fucking hate Trevor.
Trevor is the absolute worst. So he's a school teacher or a lecturer or a university teacher. He is a sexual predator in the most purest form. So Helen was his student. He preyed on Helen, this young, pretty girl, and then he married her. Helen goes to visit him at work, and he has a new student who's literally like throwing herself at him, and he's clearly having sex with her, and he just openly flaunts this. And Helen's even like, "What's the deal with her?" He's like, "Well, she just probably finds me attractive. What can I say?" I'm like, I hate you so much. Like, so
The thing
much.
about this character as well is when I saw him reappear in The Walking Dead, I was like, yes, you are that guy. You are a dick, man. I hate you in The Walking Dead just as much as I hated you in Candyman growing up. You are the worst.
He's horrible. I also want to address the fact that this university has Trevor, it has Helen, it has another guy with the worst, most greasy long hair ever, who all
Stephen Fry 2.0.
who all study and teach urban legends. Now,
Yes.
I accept there can be many urban legend teachers. We know Robert England one was in Urban Legend. He done it as well. But to have 3 lecturers in the same university teaching the same shit, I'm like, why is there so many of you? Like,
I saw like a news article the other day that Beyonce has now her own university curriculum.
Really?
Why am I struggling with that word, curriculum? Is that right?
Curriculum.
I still can't do it, even though you just said it to me there and then. I still can't do it.
What does that teach?
Like it was literally like a course in university studying Beyonce and studying the songs and her life. Like that is as wild as university scholarships have gone these days.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Maybe we need to contact some universities and get a course on the You Run podcast. That'd be awesome.
I mean, the thing is, when you put it into perspective like that, like, is it really that questionable that you would have three teachers studying urban legends when we have an entire course based on Beyonce?
No, probably not. Helen's desire to go and explore Cabrini Green, and she wants to go and explore the legend of Candyman, I think is a great setup. I also love the fact that they make Cabrini Green sound like a bad area. And at the time when this was shot, that area in Chicago was a scary area to go into, especially for a rich, white, privileged woman. That's the sort of area where people would go, oh, you want to stay away from Cabrini Green. It's dangerous in there. But I love the fact that she shows no fear whatsoever and just struts bold as brass straight into Cabrini Green just to go and interview the residents.
She does and she doesn't. I mean, I like the way that there is still that fear inside of her. Like, I really like the segment where the people think that she's the police. Like, oh no, it's fine. We've got a bit of breathing space. They think we're police. They're not going to harm us. We think we're cops.
Yeah,
they sort of mosey on through.
Yeah, that's really clever. That is one of the things that is incredibly stereotyped. That very color-coded gang with the boombox, like catcalling her and like woo, 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 and then they're like, oh, it's the police, and then they're like shouting up, and I'm like,
but is it really? Is it though? Is that not a reality in these kind of situations? I'm not qualified to say that. I'm not qualified to answer that question. I'm just questioning: is that not a reality in these? Like, I grew up in a poverty-stricken area as a child. I'm very privileged now. Do you know what I mean? I worked very hard in my life to make sure that I wasn't providing that life for my wife and my children. Do you know? But like, I grew up in that. I grew up in those areas, and it doesn't feel that hard for me to digest the unfolding of the situation that happened at Cabrini Green.
No, see, I grew up in a poor area as well, and I had you and me have spoken about this. We had very similar upbringings, very similar sort of council estate upbringing. Everyone was fighting, everyone was drinking cider in parks. Like, that's the kind of vibe
for yourself sort of mentality. Yeah, you know,
yeah.
It is.
I think the thing I don't take issue with, the thing I find very stereotypical that they do is they kind of paint everyone in this housing complex as a bad person. The only person they don't is the lady who owns the dog. And I think she's very well represented as, like, she just wants to live a normal life. She knows she lives in a shit area. And I think she's done very well. But I think everyone else around her is very much like black person, bad, white person, good lady, come in here. I get that vibe from it, and I don't like that. I found that on this one, I really picked up on that.
I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying, but I think that's more a product of the time where we're so self-aware of these whole environments and these situations where you you sort of almost feel like it's an insult and a stereotype to kind of question these living situations. But like the truth is, like that's very much what it is, and that's not a case of being black or white. You know, this whole product and this whole story is based upon Liverpool. This was
Yeah,
written surrounding Liverpool. This isn't a case of black or white, and it never
it
was when the story
no,
was written by Clive Barker. This story was based in a white orientated area in Liverpool
y-
regarding
you're going to
low
burn all through.
privileged white people.
You're going to burn through all my facts, or you just going to say
I'm
something
not
to me
trying
later?
to. I'm not trying to, man. I'm really, really not trying to. It's just more a case of counteracting your argument regarding this situation. And I just feel like there is a lot of people who speak about this movie in terms of black and white, and yeah, it's so based upon the stereotypes within racism, and that might have been the director's intention, and I'm not saying it wasn't. I just feel like when I reflect upon these stories and when I reflect upon watching this movie, I've read the novella and I really love the novella, and I
Yeah,
know what the intentions were for the adaptation for the movie, which was a white, low privileged area in Liverpool, to
yeah,
then see it play out on screen in Cabrini Green and people are talking like, yeah, it's a white versus black kind of thing. For me, I don't interpret it that way because that's not the intention of the original story,
no, it's
regardless of how that director wanted to portray it on screen.
yeah, and
And I don't
it's
think for
really
one
not.
second they did a bad job of doing so. I just think for me, I can't see past the original intent. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. That's a great portrayal. And I see that, and I see that contrast, and I see that low privileged area within the whole council plan. I grew up watching Honey Fools and Horses, man. You could set this in fucking Del Boy
Oh,
Tower, and it
but-
still works the same for me. Do you know, it's not a racism thing in my eyes. It's just a case of privilege. Do you know that's what I take away from this movie. It's not a racial thing; it's a privilege thing, and that's what I reflect upon when I watch this movie. I see these people in this downgraded situation. And yet, I think that's more a factor towards the director. I think there's a choice that the director made to cast black versus white
yeah,
in the storytelling, but I don't think that was the original intent. I don't perceive it that way myself personally. I think it's more a case of privilege versus
poverty. Yeah,
situation, not necessarily poverty. I just think it's situational circumstances. You know, these people have found themselves in that situation, and the only way they can get themselves out of it, or not even necessarily get themselves out of it, it's just a case of it's fight for survival. You know, you do what you need to do to survive, and it's taken upon this urban legend in order to, whether it be peddle drugs or whether it be just cause a total case of fear factor within the community that you are the kingpin of the situation in order to progress and make more money for yourself. And we're talking about the
yeah.
fake Candyman here in case anybody
I was
missed
just
it.
about to say that's one thing that I love that they've done. So you've got the urban legend of Candyman, and then you've got the leader of the gang who also carries a hook, who's called himself Candyman. Like that
Yeah,
is
who's
really
built his
cool.
whole persona on fear, you
Yeah.
know?
So
And
like
that's
when
not because he's black, and that's not because he's
no,
downtrodden. It's just because he's taken upon the situation. He's like, yeah, I can work this to my advantage to better myself and better my future. Not that he's doing
yeah,
it in
and
the
I
right
think
way by any stretch of the imagination. It's just, I just, when it comes down to racism within this movie, I think there is definitely an argument for it. And I think people can take whatever they want from movies. That's the whole reason that they are there. That's the whole reason why we do this podcast. It's
yeah,
about perception and how we perceive what we are viewing. But for me, every time I watch this movie, I just don't get it. I don't understand why people choose to go down that route with it. And again, I'd really, really want to cement very hardly right here now. I'm a white privileged man who has everything I've ever dreamed to have. I worked very hard for it, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, like, I don't understand the whole
yeah,
me versus you kind of situation that people tend to go with this movie. And I know that's probably perceived by the director and they choose to take it in that direction, but it's just, for me, it's never there on the forefront for me when I watch this movie. I don't sit there and
no,
think,
and it's
do you
not
know,
forefront for me. It's just I did notice it more this watch, and I think that's probably because, like you say,
you were
we are
thinking
more.
about it because
Yeah,
you're conditioned to think about it now when you watch Candyman, and that's such a shame that people are then that is it. That is a conditioning thing. It's become so prevalent in the movie itself that people are like, yes, it's a very strong spoken thing for racism, and I'm like,
And the
is
thing
it
is,
though? Is it
there's
though?
so
Is it
much.
though? If you watch it, is it
Yeah,
necessarily that?
and there's so much away from that as well. Like, let's get away from that because there is so much away from it I want to talk about. Like, scare wise, this movie, when I watched this as a kid, scared the fuck out of me to a point that I was like, I would not go in a bathroom and switch a light off when I first watched this. Like, I would leave a light on in a bathroom. Like, and that all comes like that fear, that jump scare through the mirror is one of the best crafted jump scares in all of slashers, where she's looking in the mirror and then she opens it and it's just the cupboard, and then she stares a bit longer. When that hook comes through, even on this watch, I was like, fuck. I knew it was coming as well.
Flawless
It's
execution.
so good. And the artwork in the tower as well. All of the
Yeah.
artwork on the wall is like everything in this set design's perfect.
Flawless. Along with the cinematography, we spoke about how the aerial shots are just godly. But like, if you take on the scenes where Helen crawls out of the graffiti artwork as she comes out through Candyman's mouth, that is just fucking glorious. That is like such an iconic shot within this movie. I think everything looks exceptional. Really, I do. It's a beautifully shot and directed movie.
And I like the fact that Helen is like after the first kill, she's like, she ends up, because the way she's behaving and she's becoming obsessive, she ends up in psychiatric care. And the kill of her psychiatrist is beautiful. We'll talk about that in a second. But what makes it even better is the fact that Candyman undoes her restraints. So she looks guilty as fuck before he flies backwards out of the window. And then when people come in, the window's not broken. Beautiful.
Was the window not broken when people come in?
Nope.
Was it actually not? Because like I can't remember.
It was actually not. Like, he goes out the window and that's it. The window, and people come in.
On wires, which is a cool scene.
Yeah,
but
when
like
people
I
come back in,
I always have this vision in my mind of like seeing. I don't know why, but every time I watch this movie, I'm always like, oh yeah, they show like CCTV footage to show that she's innocent because he dies and you see it coming through his chest and then she gets a restraint magically unstrapped. That might be one of the sequels. I don't know if that's true. Is that true in one of the sequels? I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
I don't know. You may have just created a new segment of a movie. It's a cool segment.
I don't think I did. I don't think I did. I feel like I have this vision in my mind where they're like, do you know when they play back the CCTV footage where she's in the bed and she's like, oh, yeah, you're a murderer. And then I'm like, I'm sure there's another scene later on where they show her restraints just magically opening on her own, and then the guy getting killed, and she's just sat there covered in blood as it happens. And then Candyman floats up, not Candyman particularly, because he's invisible to CCTV apparently. But like I feel like there is a scene. I feel like there is some sort of footage that showcases that. I'm sure I've seen it.
If there is, it was not in the cut that I watched yesterday. It definitely wasn't.
It's not in the cut that I watched yesterday. That's why I'm bringing it to question now. I'm like, I'm sure I've seen this before. I don't know if I've just visualized it in my mind because of that scene.
Maybe a director's cut somewhere, but I've not seen that.
Someone let me know. Someone let me know if I'm losing my mind or if this is an actual thing.
How do you feel about Candyman wanting to seduce her? So what's your take on, so the story of Candyman is that he was a slave initially, and then his dad made lots of money by making a machine that makes shoes, and then he got the opportunity to get well educated. He become a painter, and he goes and paints the rich guy's white daughter and ends up falling in love, and they have a baby. And then he's taken out, he's lynched, he's beaten, he has his right hand cut off and replaced with a hook because that's his painting hand. Then they smother him in honey and he gets stung by bees. Then they set him on fire. So like, I mean, all of that,
just a brief killing.
Yeah, so like that's horrific in itself, and like just for that on its own, I'm like, yeah, I'm Team Candyman. Fuck all of you. He's on point for what he's doing. But what's your take on Helen, do you think she's meant to be the reincarnation of the woman he fell in love with, or do you think she just looks like her, which is why he doesn't want to kill her, he wants to take her? Like, what's your take on that?
It's really hard to perceive what the true intention is of this movie, but for me personally, I think she is a visual representation, or at least the closest visual representation of his true love.
Yeah.
From what the situation was back in the day. I mean, they foreshadow this in terms of showing close-ups of the paintings of his original partner back in the day and stuff like that. Like, but for me, yeah, I think it was the initial sort of look-alike situation of it
Yeah.
more than anything. But one thing that I did notice upon this latest rewatch is how reserved. I don't think reserved is a right word. How what dormant Candyman it is as a killer based upon the whole mythology that's surrounding Cabrini Green and the fear factor that surrounds it. And then obviously she relinquished all that by going in and doing what she was doing with her research, which of course rebirthed him and then caused him to come out of retirement and be like, well, people are stopping to believe you called it. Now this is your problem, bitch. You know, like that whole resurgence of himself was based upon her meddling, and he was like, yeah, it's go time, bitch.
From the minute he appears, that scene in the car park is incredible.
Helen.
Yeah,
Helen.
it is so good, and I love the fact that she doesn't scream, she doesn't run, she's just in awe of this very scary guy with a hook walking towards her. And it's a beautifully shot scene. And every time these two interact, the chemistry between these two actors is phenomenal. I'm not a big fan of the swirly dancey scene later, but
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah,
You're on your own.
no, yeah, I probably am. I don't like that spinny camera shit. I don't like that in any movie. Bees.
About bees. Do you know what the thing is as well? Like, we talk about like, oh yeah, Tony Todd, man. If Tony Todd got stung one time, he got paid $100 and he took a $50 bill. Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. I watched this movie back recently. I was like, holy shit, man. Fucking hell. Like, she just took as much bees on her face as Tony Todd did in that sequence. And did she get some sort of clause?
No, I'm going to burn a really cool fact now. So the actress who plays Helen is allergic to bees. Now, she said to the director, I am allergic to bees. I cannot be stung by a bee or I'm going to die. It was the long and short of it. So what they'd done is they had specially bred bees that were only, I think they were 10 hours old, with the bees that were placed on her. And the reason they used bees of that age is because their stinger was not strong enough to pierce her skin. So she had bees on her as well, but they were different bees. Like, she got the safe bees. Tony Todd just got the bees. Have the bees. Yeah, and when they cleaned them off, it took over 40 minutes to clean them with a special vacuum cleaner to get all the bees off of them.
I mean, man, it's a fucking beautiful sequence. I'm not going to lie to you. It is incredible. It really is. And the fact that you can see that this is all done practically with actual bees is just an uncommon occurrence within movies today. Like, that would have wholly been CGI. That would have been a CGI sequence.
Yeah, and they even had a bee conservation group on set to ensure that no bees were harmed. Like, at what
no
point
bees were harmed during the making of this movie?
I didn't wait to see if that's in the credits, but I'm going to have to go and check.
I bet it is.
Like, at what point do you go, do you know what? I'm not in for that anymore. When they go, we're going to cover you in bees. Yeah, okay. We want you to take a handful of bees and put them in your mouth. And then we want you to stand there and open your mouth and let all the bees fly out. I'd be like, no fucking way. Like, it's just not happening.
You say that, though. You say that, man. You say that. But, like, we're both hardworking men. We both do what we do for our community and we get paid well for it. These dudes are on a different level. They get paid on a different level to what we're talking about. Tony Todd, this was like, I don't know whether this came before or after Night of the Living Dead. Do you know that in fact?
I'm not sure either. I think this is before.
Can you Google that real quickly, just so I don't feel real awkward about the next statement I'm about to make?
I can. But
Well, this was 92, so just Google Night of the Living Dead and see when that was.
But bear with this. This makes excellent podcast listening. I need. Thank you.
Intermission. Mate, you are typing fucking really slowly. What are you doing?
I'm struggling. Hold on. No, Night of the Living Dead was first, 1990.
1990, right. So this came 2 years after Night of the Living Dead. So this was his second real major motion production. But still, man, the payout. I lost complete traction of where I was going with the conversation before this. But yeah, the payout must have been decent. And what did he get? He got paid like $100 a sting.
$1,000. $1,000 a sting.
Hey, mate, fuck me. $1,000 per sting, mate. I'd have been chewing them up. I'd have been eating them like bubble gum. I'd be like, sting me, you bastard.
You're there just casually flicking a bee so it keeps stinging you.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, sting. I'd have been pushing them on my skin. I'd have been rubbing them against my gums. It'd have been a night out.
I don't like the use of the baby in this. I don't like babies in peril.
Why?
Babies in peril it freaks me out. Like the other one that I really struggle with is The Hills Have Eyes, where the baby's in the camper and they kidnap the baby. Like I've got a thing of like, babies should never be in peril. Babies should always be safe and protected. And at no point should a baby be stuck in a fucking great big bonfire out the back of a housing estate in Cabrini Green. Like I wasn't in for it at all.
I have to disagree with you on that because I think, like, yeah, that you're right. Definitely, they shouldn't be put in peril. But like, I feel like considering we're like such seasoned veterans of horror, we watch horror day in, day out. We live and breathe this shit. We sort of like climatize to what's on offer.
Yeah.
And when you see something like this, it truly shocks you to your core. You're like, oh shit, man, the baby's fucked. I don't get that very often. I don't get that very often when I'm watching a horror film where I'm sat there, I'm like, oh man, dude, no, they've got the baby. I'm not in for this. It's not cool, man. I don't like it. I watched Sting the other night, that spider film. When we spoke about it recently. They got the baby and that out the cot. The spider took it away. No, man, they got the baby. That's not cool. I feel uncomfortable. I don't like this. And the same with Halloween 2018. They did the same thing. They like emphasized on him going to kill the baby in the cot. And you're all sat there in the theater and you're like, oh shit, no, like I like Michael Myers, but he's gonna kill a baby. This ain't cool.
Yeah, he's gonna cross the line.
He's gonna cross the line. And I like it when they push that line as if to say, like, we're gonna do it. We were gonna do it, and then they don't. And that brings me to something completely off kilter to what we're talking about in this episode altogether. Is Terrifier 3. And I don't want to dive too much into Terrifier 3 because I feel like we're going to get that in the Christmas poll coming up.
We have got that in a Christmas episode. So
is that one, is it?
Yeah, that's one. Hold whatever thought you have until December.
Right. You know where I'm going.
I do.
You know the trajectory of it, and this is going to be the line, and we'll deal with that in a couple of weeks in December.
Yeah. Let's go back to the Predator and not the good one. The bad Predator, Trevor.
Trevor, man.
He is a whole nother level of arsehole. So when Helen's having a psychiatric treatment, she's arrested for murders and she's being interrogated, all sorts of other problems going on with Helen. He moves his new girlfriend into the house. Like, what the fuck?
Right. And I don't want to be thrown under the bus with Trevor. I'm not saying he's a great guy. I hate Trevor, but I hate Trevor for the different reasons that this movie portrays him as. This conversation entirely on this segment, I'm gonna justify Trevor. I'm gonna justify him a little bit, purely based on the fact that he thinks his wife has killed 2 people.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because he was fucking this other girl before that. Don't tell me you don't think he was already at it. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Don't
it doesn't
defend
imply.
Trevor.
It implies it. It implies it. It doesn't mean to say he was. I'm just saying, like, he maybe had fascinations. He maybe had
Al-
thoughts. He didn't
Also,
follow one of them, as far as we're aware.
but he takes his girlfriend to Helen's funeral. Who does that?
But Helen has been in a psychiatric ward for a month, and he's
Yeah.
fully convinced that she's killed 2 people. Like, I can't survive on my own personally. Maybe I would move somebody else in quite quickly.
Yeah, maybe. Helen dies in this movie, which I think is perfect. I'm glad that they made the decision to kill her off, and I love the fact that she saves the baby, and I love the whole fire scene where her head's on fire and the prosthetic of her melted head. Like, all of that's cool, and like the funeral, I think is excellent. The funeral is one of the most poignant moments in the movie. So at her funeral, she's got Trevor's girlfriend, which I still think is insane.
Stephen
they're-
Fry.
Yeah, Stephen Fry from Wish, and that's all that's there, which is really sad. And then you get the procession of all the people from Cabrini Green who come up and they throw the hook into the grave, and I think that is perfect. I also want to talk about the little boy for a second, the one that Helen puts in horrific peril. Which, like, tell me about Candyman. I'm convinced that little kid thinks she's talking about the gang leader, not about the mythical Candyman.
Oh yeah, he's 100% thinking about the gang leader. That, like,
Yeah.
that's the whole point. That's the whole point. Like, he is cemented as the fear factor within Cabrini Green, and that's a showcase of it by using the child to initiate the interaction between her and Helen. Like that's the whole point.
Yeah,
That's the whole point, man. Did you not get that? That's the whole point.
Well, I did now. I got it now. But I just thought she's deliberately putting this kid in unnecessary danger for no reason at all. The kill at the end is super satisfying. Trevor being a little bit upset that he's moved his new girlfriend in and she doesn't cook as well as Helen. There's a reel coming of that soon to show you where there's a scene where Helen's cooking and she's really happy and she's bouncing around the kitchen. And then I'm going to put that scene next to the scene of his new girlfriend who's shouting at him and slamming the fridge.
I'll be honest with you, man. That might get pulled down by Instagram because his new girlfriend, she got them badonga-dongas out.
She has. I'm working on a way maybe to blur it, maybe a censored bar, because she is wearing a see-through top and it is so see-through. I can, like, she may as well be topless for what that top is actually.
She might as well be topless, man. It is insane. It's insane. I mean, long live the 90s, man. Do you know what I mean? But, like,
yeah,
it's wild.
The kill is great, and I love the fact it's Helen and not Candyman. That moment where she, like, pops her, she's like, "You're not afraid, are you?" Love, like, yes, fuck him up.
Fuck him up.
And she does massively, and then it ends with the girl finding his massacred body in the bathroom, and then we get that final shot of the new painting, which is Helen.
It's the same painting, but
yeah, this movie's fucking awesome. Like, it really is. Should we take a break?
Great, yeah. I'm sorry, I thought he was, like, literally going to audio cue there, and then I was like, yeah, this is awesome. The You Run podcast.
Yeah, see, I
didn't realize you were waiting.
When you finish this episode, why not head over to yourunpodcast.com and check out some other shows. For some additional horror content, Podcast in the Woods is a great destination. Hosted by Gabby and Boomer, this horror movie review show boasts regular guests and honest opinions. Highly entertaining and at times hilariously funny, Podcast in the Woods is top-tier horror content. Or why not check in for some super nostalgic moments with Pop Culture Reflections podcast. This show is hosted by Justin and covers everything that has influenced pop culture in every decade. Films, music, TV shows, and professional wrestling all make regular appearances along with fabulous guests. This show is a must-listen. These and many other incredible shows all available at yourunpodcast.com. Your home of awesome entertainment.
I feel like I should be in control of, like, when these slides come in and stuff, because, like, you just timed it perfectly to do me dirty.
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry. Make sure you go and check out the network, yourunpodcast.com. There are so many great shows on there that you need to go and listen to and go and follow and go and subscribe to. We've got YouTube chat. There's everything. Yourunpodcast.com. While you're there, go and buy a t-shirt. It says Oozing Daddy Vibes. That's the Mark t-shirt. There's also the most coveted t-shirt that Mark may receive at Christmas. He may not. Who knows? The Colonel Cockring, Who Do You Think You Are, Pinhead, which refers to a story on a much earlier episode. So if this is your first episode, go back and listen to some of our back catalogue and you'll find some real gems in there. We have some messages. Now, I'm going to play you an audio clip, and all I want you to do is tell me who you think the message is from. Are you ready? So here's your first audio clip.
Texas.
That's from Heather.
It is. We got a couple from Heather this week, so this is what Heather had to say.
You guys are already interrupting me listening to this episode. I've never seen this movie. Again, I listen to basically every episode. Not basically, I do listen to every episode. And a lot of these, I haven't seen the movies because you guys, for some reason, people are picking the most obscure shit for y'all to watch. I know of the movie, haven't seen it, but to answer Mark's question, that is James Spader. So, again, you're welcome for my knowledge. Have a great day, guys.
Robert California.
Also, I forgot to add, like, James Spader could get it in the 80s. So hot. Especially, he was especially hot in Pretty in Pink. Super cheesy, girly 80s rom-com, teen rom-com that's super fucking problematic now. But it also had Andrew McCarthy, who is in the original Mannequin movie, who is a hot piece of ass too. But anyways, if you guys want to make me like your kind of trivia, not trivia, but like your IMDb girl, I'm here for you, bruh. I got a lifetime of knowledge, okay? Bye.
Yeah, I mean, cheers, Heather. I mean, like that was enough. We didn't need the second message, with John Hughes kick, that was fantastic. You did your service, but you just pushed it a little bit too far. We didn't need to know about Pretty in Pink.
Well,
thank you though for getting involved. It's really great that you're putting the commitment in.
The group chat.
Curiosity, is John Hughes? Is that John Hughes?
I'm not. I'm sure it is. I'm 90% sure it is.
No, get involved, dog. Get involved. Let's get Heather. Let's get Heather. You're cowering, man. And you leave me in the group chat all the time. Like she steps up, and I just go there, and then you just, you guys should be friends. Do it, man. Get with me on this. Get with me on this. Heather, we didn't need the second message, man. Thank you. It was great.
Well, here's a third message from Heather.
Hey, also, muscles or dad bod? My husband is 6'2", and he's pretty thin. But he can get it. Well, obviously he did get it because I'm having another baby. But I prefer a tall, thinner man. I'm not really a dad bod kind of gal. I definitely have to have someone much taller than me. He's a foot taller than me. But he's toned. So Walt can get it. That's what I like. So you guys didn't really put in skinty men. I like a skinny man, but like not too skinny where he's like Bone Thugs and Harmony, but like, he's thin and toned. Give me like a Christian Bale, but maybe slightly thinner. Okay, I've sent you guys enough voice messages. Love y'all.
Thanks,
Heather. Christian Bale's not the kind of man you can like associate with body image. He's like that dude changes. That dude changes hard.
Yeah, he goes
on
from
what mood he's in.
Yeah, so what movie was it he done where he was a boxer and he went down to like the most anorexic I've ever seen a human being? And then like the next film, he's got like a beer belly and a dad bod. And then the next movie, he's ripped because he's Batman. It's like,
that dude's insane.
Yeah, he puts his body through a hell of a lot. Thank you, Heather, for the messages. And we will use you as our Internet Movie Podcast database, Heather. I'm going to have to come up with
we will.
Yeah.
Thanks for your contributions, Heather. But one message is suffice. Just don't outstay your welcome. That's all I'm going to say to you. I love you. I think you're great, but once enough. One's enough.
The group chat's going to be awful on Monday. We have another audio cue. See if you can guess who this message is from.
I hate you guys. You guys are assholes. Ashley Kenny.
Mark.
I hate him the most.
Right, like that's a really difficult position to put me in because I feel like I'm hated by a lot of people. My initial project is to go, yeah, that's Eric. That's Eric who hates me unconditionally. But Dave B Movies, he's stepping up his game recently, and he's coming for me hard. So I kind of don't know where to go with this.
You got it right first time, and you've riled your rival. Here's what he had to say.
It's about time you made a comeback.
Hey, Mark, you little bitch. You want to call me out? I'll gut you like a fish. What's your favorite scary movie?
Oh, well, it's good to know you're still listening.
Yeah, Eric's back with a vengeance. Yeah, he called you a bitch and is going to gut you like a fish.
Well, there you go, Dave. You've got a fucking pegging stone. Let's see what you can bring to the table next week.
Let's do something quite nostalgic. Let's go and have a bit of 3-word review, shall we?
3-word review. Have you on your best view the things this film decided to do? I know you. 3-word review. How you guys view the things this film decided to do.
That feels very Korean, like sort of like Pokemon Chase-esque.
Yeah, it is. It's Korean pop, is what.
Yeah, I could sense it.
Right, we have a few 3-word reviews this week, starting with reviews from the crypt. Helen deserved better. So this is from a great review page on Instagram. It's actually from Mark, who feels left out whenever we do 3-word review. So I thought I'd include him.
I do. Just remember where I started. I didn't start as a podcast co-host. I was part of the group originally.
Yeah.
Just for those who listen, strive to be better. You might be able to replace me one day. Who knows?
Yeah, we're doing casting calls in January, in case anyone's interested. 1331 Horrorcast, most underrated slasher, and they're a horror podcaster. Chocolate Lemonade, it's Helen's fault. Film freak and horror fan, and he's right. It is Helen's fault. If she hadn't gone to Cabrini Green and she hadn't been saying Candyman in the mirror, he would have stayed in retirement.
Yeah, but that's the same as anything. You can apply that to anything.
Yeah,
surely.
There is that. Wolfman's got nards. Barry over on YouTube. YouTube royalty. I haven't got his royalty soundbite. I forgot. He's gone with.
He needs upgrading to sort of Nemesis level. Does Barry?
Yeah, he's
towing the line a little bit.
He is. He's not being mean to you recently. He's not sent any questions in or anything. He went with My Girl 3. Everyone 138. Be My Victim, but the B is BEE, which I thought was clever. Be My Victim. They're a horror.
Is it clever?
I think it's clever.
I mean, look, we cancelled 3-word review because of the unoriginality of it. So, like, is that a pass?
I think that's a pass. I liked that one. And finally, we've got Bloody Babble, who almost broke my heart with this one. They're a horror account, and they went with Miss Him Already.
Yeah.
Which
really is
very, very tragic.
Acts that could save your life.
Let's do some facts. So this was filmed in the Cabrini Green housing estate, and it was a dangerous area. So the producers made deals with the gang leaders to ensure the protection of their cast and their crew and everybody else. And the deals that these were is they gave them parts within the movie, either as extras or they're all as extras. Some of the members of the gang could very well be actual gang members in Cabrini Green, which I thought was really, really cool. They did also get their production truck shot at on the final day. A sniper took a shot and put a bullet hole through the production truck.
That was wild.
Very,
very wild.
It's scary. Now, you know the medicine cabinet, like the hand through the medicine cabinet, and we get the story of the girl who was killed by Candyman coming through her medicine cabinet. That's taken from actual fact. So in Chicago, about 5 or 6 years before this film was made, there was a killer who entered through people's houses through their medicine cabinet from the adjoining room and killed a couple of people.
Oh wow, that's insane.
Really insane. Tony Todd was stuck. Tony Todd. Hold on.
Just start again.
Yeah. Tony Todd was stung between 23 and 26 times. No one knows the actual amount, but he had agreed a $1,000 per sting payment. So he got somewhere between 23 and 26 grand for the 25, 30 minutes he was covered in.
It's not enough for me, man. That's not enough for me. When I watch this film back and I look at that sequence, I don't think I could do it for that amount of money. Could you?
No.
I mean, take into consideration inflation, that it's an intense scene, man. When you see them all coming out of his mouth, like all just wriggling around.
Yeah,
that's rough, man.
I'm not down for that. So Candyman was written by Clive Barker, for those of you who don't know. In the original story, as Mark said earlier, it was set in Liverpool, and it was a white man with an unruly red beard, is how it's described. It was set in the 70s, and it was set around bonfire night. And the bonfire night is the one element that they carried over because they wanted to have that fire in this movie. So they carried that over to the film adaptation. Where Helen strips in front of the policewoman, which we didn't cover, I didn't think it's a very impactful scene. It's very sort of like, oh, this is awful. But she got her friend to be the cop because she was very uncomfortable doing it. And the director said, look, is there anyone who, I'll let anyone be this cop. You just tell me who. So she got her lifelong friend to come in and stand there and be the cop, which I thought was really cool. In 2011, Cabrini Green was demolished or finished being demolished. It was then revamped and revitalized into the area that it is now. And that is the area that's in the 2021 Candyman, also filmed on location in Cabrini Green, which I thought is brilliant. Now, the Rottweiler being beheaded, there's a Rottweiler in this, gets his head chopped off. That was inspired by Jeffrey Dahmer having the beheaded head of a dog in his apartment when they searched it.
That's wild. That's absolutely wild.
Everything that man done is wild. Just so you know, we have a true crime podcast as well. Search You Run Podcast True Crime. We covered Jeffrey Dahmer.
Talk about segues, man.
Yeah. We are going to play a game. It's a really fun little game. So,
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
it's a really cool game and it's really fun, and it also helps you learn more about Tony Todd, which is also cool. So
I'm
going
actually
to show
playing this. Is this like a me game?
Yeah, this is a you game. I'm going to show you some
Why?
pictures. It's a fun game. It's a Tony Todd game. I'm going to show you some pictures of Tony Todd in some of his best known roles and some of his not so best known roles. And from the picture, all you need to do is tell me what movie it's from.
Right. Okay. I feel like I could do this.
I think
versed in the Tony Todd universe. I feel like I could do this very well.
I think you've got 8 of these, and I think you're getting at least 6. I'll be amazed if you don't get at least 6. Here's your first one.
Fix my target. Go on then. The Crow.
That is The Crow. You're off to a really good start. Let's go with...
First question, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I expected it to be easy.
Let's go with this one.
I thought this was an easy quiz.
That's one of his... It's an early role for him.
A very early role for him. He looks like a very strapping young man. I don't know what movie that's from. Should I know that movie?
I think you should. That is from Platoon.
Oh man, I'm not a Platoon fan. I'm not an Apocalypse Now fan either. So
No.
those of you like,
I'm
Apocalypse
not
Now,
a big I'm not a big war movie guy.
No. People talk about Saving Private Ryan as being like the greatest war film of all time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. It. I know bits. I know bits that are like in pop culture enough to like reference it, but I don't know.
and again, like when we eventually go back and play That's Not My Porno, there is a porno parody of that called Shaving Ryan's Privates. How about this one?
Final Destination.
That is correct. How about this one?
Military gear. Why do I not know this? Why is this not coming to my head?
Nicolas Cage is in this movie.
The Rock.
It is The Rock. They start to get a little bit harder from here on out.
They're pretty hard already. I feel like they're really, really hard questions already.
Well, let's go with this one.
Night of the Living Dead. Boom.
It is.
I know that. I love that movie. Night of the Living Dead is God tier.
The last three are very difficult. You will know it or you don't know it. So let's go with
like the most obscure thing I've ever seen. Like that is the most obscure thing I've ever seen in my life. Like he could be partners with John Wayne, or he could be a feature in Last of the Mohicans. I have no idea.
This is a trilogy. He done 3 of these films.
He did 3 of these films, right? Okay. Can you tell me what genre is it in? Is it in horror? Is it in action?
No, it's a Western. It's definitely a Western.
Definitely a Western. And it's a trilogy.
You're not going to get it. Do you want me to just tell you?
I'm not going to get it yet. Just tell me.
It's Black Fox.
I was literally going to say a Black Fox as well. It was literally there. It's just ready to come out.
This next one, I imagine you probably have seen, and 100% lives in your wheelhouse of bargain bin bullshit. That's this one.
Before you even show the image, I was going to go in a different direction with that then. Right, that's a zombie film. I don't know what zombie film it is. I don't know. Now you throw me for a curveball, but if the last image is not from the Hatchet franchise, I don't know where you're going with this quiz.
That is from Sky Sharks.
Sky Sharks. That's a thing. Sky Sharks.
Sky Sharks. You need to go and look at it. And the final one, and it's not from Hatchet, because I knew you'd get that immediately. It's this one.
Venom. It's Venom. But like, obviously not the movie universe. He was Venom in the PS4 Spider-Man 2 thing. I don't play PlayStation. I don't play games. I don't know. But I know the media surrounding Tony Todd's involvement.
I play that game, and that game is awesome. And him as Venom is, you're like,
oh mate,
it's Venom.
If he's not catered to that role, I don't know who is.
The thing is, there's enough of the sort of Candyman tone to his voice. Like he's gone he sits somewhere between what Venom sounds like in previous adaptations with a little bit of Candyman. So there's times he says stuff and you're like, oh, is he about to say the pain will be exquisite? Like that's how I feel. That's what's coming.
That's such a cool line.
Let's do roundup. So I'm going to round up because I'm going to be fairly brief in comparison to Mark, I think, on this. I love this movie. It's a gothic, romantic horror movie. It introduced what I class as one of the pillars of slasher icons. I think overall it showed the community of Cabrini Green in a fairly well-balanced light. I've got some issues that I spoke about earlier. I think that the spiritual sequel of this, Candyman 2021, handled the characters and that community a lot better than this does. But again, that's very much a product of its time. Tony Todd is outstanding. So is Virginia Marsden. They are both stellar. When they are on screen together, it is magical and awe-inspiring to watch. This has tension throughout. It has some brilliant scares. It hits all my nostalgia buttons. The score for this is haunting and incredible. I've got really fond memories of this. This was a VHS watch at a sleepover when I was probably, 13. And it sits in a really special place, like memory-wise. I remember the night. I remember us all like sneaking beers in to sit down and watch this. I love it. It's a 5 out of 5. It can't be anything else. This is one of the most underappreciated slashers that I think sits up there with the original Halloween, the original Nightmare on Elm Street. This is top tier slasher movie. It's so good. It's perfect.
Yeah, there's very little to argue with you about that. I mean, this is a perfect movie. This is one of the most underrated slashers of the 90s, and considering the kill count, you've got what I actually wrote a list of the kills within this movie. You've got Ted Raimi's girlfriend, off-screen kill, and also a flashback, so not necessarily canon to the story of this movie.
Not necessarily a kill. It's someone telling a story.
Yeah,
Did that even happen? It could just be a legend.
It's a theory. It's just a legend. It's a folklore. Like that's not even a kill. I mean, you've got the only actual kills within this movie is Bernadette, again, off screen.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Dr. Burke, which is the only on-screen kill of the movie,
and
then
great.
you've also got Trevor at the end.
And also great.
Who?
Both those kills are great as well.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying somebody else. And oh yeah, Grape. Don't forget about Grape.
Oh yeah, Grape. They killed Grape midway through.
Who is Grape in this movie? So what I'm saying is you've got, in terms of 90s slashers, you've got one on-screen kill. Even Trevor at the end, as impactful as it is, and everybody recalls it as being like one of the most gruesome kills of the movie. If you go back and watch this film, it's all off screen. It's all off screen. Yeah. You only see the aftermath of the kill. The same with Bernadette. Bernadette is a gruesome kill, but you only see the aftermath of Bernadette's kill. The only on-screen kill is that of Dr. Burke. And this is a 90s slasher that is held within such high regard among the community. People talk about this movie. They worship it as if Candyman is one of the, like, up there with the best, with Michael Myers, with Freddy Krueger, with Jason Voorhees. He is recognized amongst it, and I'm not taking that away from it. He deservedly owns that role. Like, this movie is a slasher at its basis and at its core.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's so story driven. It's so focused upon its narrative that all of those generic tropes that you expect to find within this genre and you expect to find within this movie, yeah, it's a 90s slasher. You expect kills, you expect basic who's done it and all the rest of it. This movie doesn't provide it. It's so unique in its own perspective because it's so story driven. It's so derivative of the tale that it's trying to tell. And again, me and Scott spoke about it on the episode. I know people focus upon this movie as being such a cultural phenomenon and how important it is to certain races and all the rest of it. I'm not qualified enough to answer those questions, and I don't think that my opinions on it that I'm going to deliver right now are justified to be able to say, yes, I'm in that camp and I'm not in that camp. I'm just taking this on the basis of how I perceive it. And how I perceive it is one of the most enjoyable slashers of the 90s, regardless of the kill count. I think it is a story that is so focused upon the relationship between two characters. And in terms, if you were to tell me like what was the most impactful love story within horror, like if you were to compare like the Titanic of horror, it's Candyman.
Yeah,
because it's
Candyman,
a love story.
I think the other one that sits up there is probably Bram Stoker's Dracula. I think they're the two.
No,
that
I don't think that qualifies within the same league as Candyman, to be honest with you. I think the Francis Ford Coppola version of that movie is so far regulated upon what it should be in terms of the actual narrative of the story that you can't quite compare the two. I mean, Candyman it's a love story, man. It's not although it sits in the wheelhouse of slasher, and so many people think about it as being a solid slasher of the 90s. Like, when you break it down and you focus upon what it actually is trying to represent, it is a love story. It's a love story between Candyman, Daniel Robitor, if you will, Daniel Robitor and Helen, like the whole thing. And I don't know where I lie in terms of how to break this down. Is because I've seen the sequels and the sequels aren't great. I love Candyman 2. Candyman 2 is a fucking great sequel to a 90s slasher by all means. the third one is fucking tragic.
Dire.
It's fucking dire by all accounts. And it's hard to sort of separate the whole lineage. How do you, lineage?
Lineage.
Is that right? Lineage.
Yeah. Welcome
It's
to
hard
How
to
to
break.
Teach Mark to Speak on the You Run podcast.
Oh, mate, we've been here 3 years, man. Everybody knows how to fucking break that down. Yeah, the whole lineage of how to like break down the story of Candyman. And then we spoke about it off air, and you said, like, oh, yeah, I watched the first Candyman, and then I went straight into watching the newest one, and how they transition so well together. But like as a horror fan, like so many of us are, and we've all watched these 90s horror movies, you watch 1, you watch 2, you watch 3, and that's kind of gospel to what it is. And like it, I can't separate that from the story that I've come to learn.
Yeah.
But when I watched this back on a rewatch, I was like, oh man, just forget about everything else and just take this first movie for what it is. Forget about all, because they changed the story so much regarding how he actually became Candyman in the sequel and then in the third one. So it's like the first one establishes a law, the second one establishes a completely different law, the third one establishes a completely different law after that. But if you separate it and you just listen to the first movie, this is a perfect movie throughout, like from start to finish. Oh man, I know I'm rambling a lot because I love this movie so much and I want to dive so much into what it is about this movie that I enjoy, just to do you guys justice who are listening to the episode. But I'm going to shut up and I'm just going to say it's 5 out of 5. It is a perfect movie. There's so much about this that I enjoy, so much about it that warrants rewatch time after time after time.
Yeah.
I just think it's perfect. And if you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it. And if you have seen it, go watch it again, man. Why not? It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I would recommend anyone who's maybe not seen the 2021 one or watched it and went, that's not for me, back to back in this. The transition between the two is masterful. When you literally stop Candyman and you put on 2021 and you watch them back to back, the amount of nods and the amount of homage they pay to the original, and they do it in such a delicate way. I wasn't a huge fan of 2021. I thought it was okay, but watching it that way, it made me appreciate it so much more. They've done such a good job to incorporate so much. And the fact they changed how he looked, but it wasn't because they just cast a different actor. They explain it, the fact that urban legends change over time and people's perception. It's so clever. So, I
need to do it in that sitting. I need to watch the first and then watch the latest. Continuation.
I highly recommend it. I'm glad we done this episode and we postponed Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. We are back on our usual bullshit next week, though, as we take a leprechaun to space. No, we don't. We take a leprechaun to the hood. It is Leprechaun in the Hood, which is, if we're going to talk about racially inappropriate movies, it's next week. That's when we'll be doing it. A huge thank you to everyone who watches, who listens, who subscribe to us. You're all wonderful. And I didn't want this episode to go past without sharing a clip of Tony Todd's voice, because he is iconic. So I picked a phrase or a line that he's got within this franchise that I adore, and I'm going to share you that, and then I'm going to play us out. So we'll catch you all next week.
Cheers, guys. See you next week.
Now I must kill you. Your death will be a tale to frighten children, to make lovers cling closer in their rapture. Come with me and be immortal.
You want to die tonight?
Jokes and tell sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. Your passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's overblown roundups. You run podcasts or a movie review, unveiling